searching for you. I'm still searching for you. From dirt to the sky, I'm still searching for you. 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 I'm still from dirt to the sky, I'm still searching for you.
Wake the fuck up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
You disgust me.
Who gives a shit?
Go on.
I made it the fuck up.
I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. It's glorious.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. It's good to see y'all again. Saw some of y'all at 9 a.m. this morning. And hopefully some of y'all are out there joining us again for a different sort of show. We got Mal. Yeah, you just saw us. And Silverlock twice today. Yes. And Daniel, your evening opened up. Well, it's up to you, man. It's you want to come on? Come on. Das Wolfen, you know what? You got an opening too. Just hop on in, man. Just grab the link in the chat and you can jump right in if you guys want to. It's welcome. So, real quick, before we do anything else, figured I'd show these off one more time. I know some of you guys are probably getting sick of this already, but since I got them, and these are empties, there are some things I noticed about the Arizona Fallout iced tea stuff. First off, at the bottom, it's like, it says that they're issued by Vault Tech Agricultural. You know, have an ice day, and it's like it's got polyphenols. But this right here caught my eyes. Prime. So it is more of an Amazon thing than anything else. But I've tried all three flavors now. And they're all, well, okay, I'm not going to say they're all pretty good. Okay, the peach one kind of tastes like feet. They just don't taste right.
So you liked it?
No. I like clean feet, damn it. I don't like dirty feet. Matter of fact, most of the people I know who like feet don't like dirty feet. But there are some, I mean, you know, then again, there's people out there who enjoy, you know, getting pooped on. So, you know. I don't judge, man. I just know that that's not my thing.
The only time I care about feet is when they're up in the air.
There you go. There's that too.
I judge.
But But yeah, the pomegranate one is probably the best. The red apple is second best, and the Georgia peach just don't drink it unless you just really like peach. In which case, this doesn't taste like peach. So I would recommend mixing it with something that tastes more peach flavored than that, so it will taste better. I don't know.
Driving a dragons in the comment.
Hey, Lily Elizabeth, it's good to see you. Oh man, I haven't seen you in forever. What are you doing now? I mean, you kind of hopped off of X, and I've missed you. Glad you're here.
Hello.
You could judge if you like getting pooped on. That is just well. I mean, you know, I think it's way too easy to poke fun at people's kinks because, I mean, let's be serious now. Everybody has kinks, and not everybody's kinks are everybody else's kinks. And as long as those kinks aren't directly harming somebody else and is done between consenting people, then it's not a problem for me. It's when you start breaking those rules, it becomes a problem.
No, that's Wolf. We should absolutely be judging T-shirt for his taste in feet and being pooped on.
I don't like being pooped on. That's not a thing for me. Don't even start that, Ironcaster.
I'm just picturing the Cleveland Brown from the Cleveland Show. Oh, that's nasty.
Because it is. It's gross. And
exactly.
Saying that. Yeah. You've been editing for JPL. Oh, cool, man. All right. No, man. It's like, yeah, I like feet, but I mean, you know, like that's probably like the most tame of my kinks. I don't really have anything that's dangerous. I don't feel. I mean, honestly. But I know people who are into some dangerous kinks, and I'm just kind of like sounding? No. No.
Yeah, no. If you want to learn about kinks, look at the Panic Room guy on YouTube. He's this big old bald dude, does a lot of like metalworking stuff, but he's got a character he plays, and it's all about like kink life and stuff. And you learn shit watching that.
I don't need to learn shit from some YouTuber. I've already been involved with groups and things, and I've discovered things that I really wish I didn't know about.
Oh, yeah, I agree too.
Yeah.
He is a pretty decent YouTuber, I will say.
Yeah. But anyway, I know Ironcaster is burning to release some Fabula Ultima news, and I'm glad to help out with that too, because I've got some news on that as well. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, given our recent delvings and obsession, if you will, over Fabula Ultima, it seemed pertinent to kind of be on the up and up on seeing just what's going on with the game. Like, what, are we getting more stuff? When is the Natural Fantasy Physical Edition coming out? Well, this sort of led me down the rabbit hole of kind of looking some things up and kind of discovering the creator's Patreon, Emmanuel Galeto. And to his credit, he does keep things posted, though in a way I kind of wish there was a little bit more updates more often. So this kind of slipped by the radar back in February, but here we are sort of getting into it now.
Mm-hmm. Ah, yes. That's the same one.
Mm-hmm. So it was kind of. We got a couple of basics coming out of it, such as the existence of a bestiary Kickstarter coming for the game.
Yeah, the bestiary looks good, but I'm most excited about the Yoshitaka Amano cover.
The bestiary will be nice because I felt like the Fabula Ultima core book was lacking in like enemy stats.
Interestingly enough, I can't find the Kickstarter for it.
To my knowledge, it does not exist yet.
Well, he didn't even have a Kickstarter presence at all. Like, I mean, Need Games isn't it? Maybe it's under Emmanuel Galeto. But...
Well, the thing is, I feel like this would have made more waves if it had been released by now. But the fact that there's been radio silence on it leads me to believe that it just simply is not ready, because we've known that he kind of hinted that it should have been like sometime in May, and well, we're kind of getting to the end of that, so he's probably due for posting an update.
Well, I suspect, and I can't say this with 100% veracity, but I suspect that the tariff information has probably affected his output because he's probably not sure what things are going to clock in at now. But yeah, the fact that Yoshitaka Amano is going to do an alternative cover for a Fabula Ultima book, it's like, yeah, I want that bad.
Mm-hmm. Same.
And for those of y'all out there who don't know who Yoshitaka Amano is, Vampire Hunter D. That's who Yoshitaka Amano is.
His art is basically the face of Final Fantasy.
Yes, also that. I have one of his books that a lot of people haven't heard of called Shion, Blade of the Minstrel. God, that book is beautiful. I'll have to dig it up one of these days. And we got Daniel.
What's up?
Hey.
I have to clarify. You said minstrel, right? Not menstrual?
Minstrel.
Okay,
Like
how to make sure.
Bard.
I heard a completely different word, so I had to clarify.
Hunter, your brain's just in the gutter tonight.
I mean, it depends on what kind of menstrual we're talking about here. I kind of minced that.
You literally opened up talking about kings. I don't think that's entirely my fault.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, are we talking about people in blackface? Or are we talking about women who throw stuff at you and yell and scream then cry for no reason? Or are we talking about like musicals?
We're talking about people who play music.
So like bard type minstrel.
Yeah, minstrel.
So there's lots of minstrels out there.
Right, but this one in particular is called Shion, Blade of the Minstrel, and it is from Yoshitaka Amano.
Aha! See, I missed that part when I was switching over to get on the stream and switching over to my desktop. I popped out during like the fetishes and poop part. So when I heard menstrual, I'm like, this could be a lot of different things when he's talking about kinks.
No. I guess some people are into Red Wings, but I'm not. Anyway. So yeah, that is actually exciting news. Also, that was a good catch this morning, Ironcaster, with the Fabula Ultima limited to 3 classes. Because I kept telling myself, I was like, nah, I'm pretty sure it's just 3 classes. I think you can get another one after you finish getting all the way to level 10 on one of them. But whereas Grim thought you could just pick and choose freely between all the classes you wanted to. I thought that makes your character way too powerful, because then you could just stack all the really powerful stuff on there and just level dip.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Otherwise, it'd be so easy just to take a level of everything and get 6 health every level as you take every single class that gives you health.
That's exactly what I would do. Is I would just start stacking up all the classes that give me whatever benefit I wanted at the time, like more health or more inventory points or whatever.
Sound a whole lot like you're playing 3.5.
Yeah, Fabula Ultima reminds me of 3.5 in a lot of ways, or Pathfinder First Edition, because it's so wide open, it's so versatile, and the characters really can do just about anything you want them to if you arrange everything right. But
I've always kind of seen Pathfinder 1 as 3.5 if it was run only by the worst GMs who missed the point that it's supposed to be modular and allow everything.
I liked Pathfinder a whole lot better, though.
I don't know. I've always found Pathfinder to highlight all the worst aspects of 3.5 and flush all the benefits.
No, not in my opinion. I mean, for one thing, they streamlined the skills.
They didn't need to be streamlined.
They did too. There was too many of them, and it also made the skills make sense with how they gave you just a regular 3 instead of trying to tell you, it's like you could only take 3 on your first point and all that weirdness. I like the fact that they didn't push prestige classes. They recognized that prestige classes were basically creating cookie cutter type characters, and that they focused more on archetypes, which was brilliant because the archetypes allowed you to bend the rules so much in so many different ways.
Yeah, it was 3.5 if every power gamer got their way.
Pretty much.
which is why I hate it, because it took a modular game that allowed you to have some customization. If you wanted to go down a path, you could work to a prestige class and you could dive into that aspect of a character. If your GM knew what they were doing, they were going to modulate what skills, what rules, what feats, what source books would be allowed in whatever setting they were put. Is perfect. It's not perfect because D&D has never been perfect, but 3.5 is a game master's game, not a player's game. It is great if you really want to dive into being a game master who creates something specific for their table and then modulates the game to enhance that particular style of play. Pathfinder is 3.5, but we turn the reins over to the worst power gamers at the table and let the players have their way, which is just awful. Because, I mean, look at 5e and the abortion that they have now, and a lot of these other games. Like, the more you get away from making games for game masters, the worse the games get. And that's when you start getting into toxic player agency and some of the other things that I like to harp on.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I kind of disagree with that, just on the point that there is a kind of a benefit to letting players have agency and doing more or less kind of what they want to. Another, kind of taking some of the load off the GM. I mean, Mark Reinhagen's already talked about it.
But where does it take away their agency? It doesn't take away their agency.
No, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't take away their agency, but things like, how Harmony Ginger has the people invested in her games because she allows them to, build gods and pantheons and, name cities and continents and all these other things and basically create the background. Whereas that doofus who, came out and tried to accuse her of being lazy because they let all the players do all the work.
Yeah, I mean, that's a more of a play style and a management situation, not a system situation.
Yeah, that's true.
I do think while Braunsteins to me are kind of stupid, I think that Harmony's Godstain actually made spawned an entire series on my channel about building religions and stuff in my world building series, and mainly off of her Godstain, because I think that is a very great way to build out a pantheon, especially if that's not an aspect of setting design or world building that you as a GM are good at or interested in. Because, I mean, a lot of us, you hear world builder and people think, oh, well, you're a world builder. I was like, no, world building is a huge thing. There's tons of aspects of it. You may be somebody who loves developing cultures or loves putting maps together and figuring out how that would affect the climate and how that climate would affect the cultures to build something that feels like a real world. But mythology and cosmology and stuff like that may be something you really don't care about. And now you can bring your players in to enhance that particular section of it.
Well, as I pointed out, not only on X, but I mean, Ironcaster would back me up on this, and so would Grim. Fabula Ultima, and I know we talk about this a lot, but it's kind of what we're playing right now, and it kind of exemplifies, getting players invested in the game because they are part of the world building creation process.
I mean, there's an argument to be made for it. There certainly is an argument to be made for it. And a lot of it, like anything else, is going to go right back to depending on your table and what your players in particular want, what your players in particular, what tickles their fancy. Because there's some things like this. Why does this sound like a broken record? That's my number one complaint with the Bro SR, is not that their play style is bad or that there's no merit to it or that it isn't effective or it isn't a good way to play, but that they present everything as if it is the only way to do it properly. It is the only way to actually have a fun game or for any. They speak as if every single person on the planet has the exact same outlook and enjoys the exact same things that they do. And they would probably, most of them, be miserable in my games, because just like I'd be miserable in theirs, because I don't need if I want to go click on Monster Dungeon Delve, I've got tons of old 80s DOS games I can play that do that better than the Bro SR does.
Caster, what were you trying to say?
Oh, I was just saying all those elements of the world building that go into the initial game creation, it does such a great job to draw people in, because ultimately the big questions of what are the big mysteries of this world are something that the players themselves have put forth. So there is that initial buy-in that's going to make people want to care just that bit more. Like, hey, what about these little pieces that I suggested that are going to get brought into the game that I can look forward to looking at?
Is it just me, or is Ironcaster like disappearing into the ether? And
I can barely hear him too.
Yeah, you gotta work on your mic settings, bud.
I
even cranked you up to 200.
You get that unidirectional thing going on, don't you?
Does that help?
Oh, geez.
It's better. That's way better.
I should have turned my speed. Next time, tell me to turn it down first. You scared the cat.
I just got the new microphone. I gotta get this worked in, and maybe I'll get the reverb going one of these days.
God, is that you?
JP got rockets. I pulled the plug on the bathtub and did some world building. Das, if you want to come play with us on Sundays, the game is open. Just let me know, or let Grim know, and we'll be happy to pull you in.
I always get confused when every time people abbreviate it to FU, because I always think at first, oh, why are they cursing us out? And they're like, oh, they're talking about Fabula Ultima.
Well, Lily, you're welcome to join us on Sundays, or if you want to see what a game looks like, we play on Sundays in the afternoons on Grim's channel. Just pop in and watch us, because that's what Fabula Ultima is like.
It's like, don't come to Ironcaster's server and play. He's got enough of us to deal with.
Yeah, there's already 8 players.
It's a private server anyway.
Hey, Ultra, I mean, you're sitting here talking about FU being a problem. Oh, man, that's confusing. Imagine being somebody who's been a Cyberpunk player for a long time. How many times have I gotten on X or on Discord or something, started typing a message, and I'm trying to use all my acronyms and stuff, and I look back, I'm like, I cannot have CP all over my messages.
Oh, wow, I never thought about that.
I will be on 14 watch lists by the end of the day.
Yeah. CP 2077, CP 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the live stream where Garbo. I remember the live stream where we were doing, and then Garbo came in, and being very Garbo was like, "You all quit. Quit. I shortened the acronym to CP."
Yeah,
I never even thought about that, but I don't play Cyberpunk, so.
Dude, you just we gotta open up your horizons a little bit, man. You just haven't played enough games.
I mean, I swear, dude, if anybody should be playing a game like Cyberpunk Red, it's you. I mean, you always. I remember laughing, mostly to myself, but partially at you and partially publicly, when you were saying like, man, 5e is too crunchy, and I'm over here running 3.5 games, and I'm like, what the hell do you mean crunchy?
Well, that's why I don't want to play Cyberpunk either. Like, I got
2020, you don't want to play, because 2020 is incredibly crunchy. Cyberpunk Red is an incredibly light system. That is one of it's like Call of Cthulhu light, only actually it's probably even less than Call of Cthulhu, because
but Red has that horrible hit point system where, like, the players and the enemies and stuff have more hit points than cars.
There's some tweaks that I've made on my Cyberpunk Red games that kind of help with that a little bit. They don't do the cars as well as they could. They tried to. It's one of those examples of when streamlining goes wrong, and they tried to like simplify it to keep the action up and all that stuff, and you can tell they did. And it's like, no, you need to go back to Cyberpunk 2020 rules. And Cyberpunk 2020 vehicular stuff, because this is just, it doesn't make any sense. When my ice cream truck has the same hit points as the nerd who's plugged into a wall socket over there.
Well, I also didn't like Cyberpunk Red, and I didn't want to go back to using Cyberpunk 2020 rules, because their net running rules are just kind of like, well, you know what they're like. They're basically like a whole different game, and unfortunately, it takes everybody out of it whenever you're busy running a little net running session.
The
The only time you should ever use like Netrunners in Cyberpunk 2020, there's only two real ways to run that. Either there's three ways. You have nothing but a net running group, and you don't have any actual real world play. Everything is not in meat space. It's all in cyberspace. Second version is you bust out that Cyberpunk card game that they had, the net running card game, and you use that to resolve net actions. And then the third way is you just make sure that all net runners are always NPCs. No PCs do any net running at all as a Cyberpunk 2020 game, because like you said, it's almost like they're two completely separate games to be.
Well, I came up with another option. I just threw out the Cyberpunk rules and kept the setting, and then just ran Cities Without Number.
That's what I was going to say. Was I bought Cities Without Number, so if I was going to run Cyberpunk, I would do either that or the Otherscape, which is a 2d6 tag-based system.
Or you wait till my D30 game comes out and you play Cyber City Dodge. Plug for something that probably won't be out for years if it ever comes out. But no, I guess now what you could do is you could, instead of using the Cyberpunk 2020 net running rules, you could use a slightly modified version of the Cyberpunk Red rules for net running in Cyberpunk 2020, and that would work pretty well, because that's one of the best things that Red did was fix the net running rules.
Well, like I said, I kind of like the way that Cities Without Number handled it. But then again, you know me, anything that's Kevin Crawford is going to be, that's going to be my first consideration. It's like, did Kevin Crawford do it? Did he do it better?
You could also say the same with Call of Cthulhu, because realistically, while I'm a huge fan of Interlock Unlimited, the D100 system that Call of Cthulhu uses is extraordinarily adaptable. You can play anything you want with that
basic role-playing system.
Yeah, it's a pretty good basic. So all you got to do is make some adjustments to the skills and make a couple other tweaks, and you're off to the races using 7th edition Call of Cthulhu to play a Cyberpunk game.
Well, I wouldn't use Call of Cthulhu. I'd just use basic RPG, because that's what the rule set is. And I have a copy of the latest one, and I think I said it like a year ago, or maybe it was 2, but that it's honestly the best system out there, because it really clicks all the simulationist buttons for most people, and it avoids power creep. And it's still, kind of a fun game. You could play the same character for 6 years and still feel threatened if a goblin horde shows up to fight you, because your hit points don't go up.
Yeah, and that's why I'm a huge fan. Like, my game that I'm making is this way. All of my favorite games are this way. I am not a class-based game person. I like the quote unquote skill based games, because I don't want to level up. I want to marginally increase individual skills as I play. I'm leveling up, so to speak. I'm getting more powerful, but I'm getting marginally more powerful in logical specific areas. That character, like you said, when you think about Cyberpunk 2020 or Call of Cthulhu or any of the games that are like that, and it's, okay, I've been playing this character for 6 years. I got all these skill points. I'm all this good stuff. I got all these combat skills and great equipment and everything. But the drunk guy underneath the overpass with the switchblade can still stab me in the side of the neck and kill my character. Mm-hmm. And, all he has to do is he gets a halfway decent roll, and I'm rolling a new character. And it just, that to me it's just more realistic. And there's people who argue against it, but we need realism in our games, not in terms of, oh, it's realistic, you threw a fireball, or there's a dragon outside, or a dragon exists and the square cube law doesn't. But you need realism in the fact that the world makes logical sense in the space of, if I run put my head down and run full speed into that wall over there, there's a good chance I'm going to break my neck and a very good chance I'm going to end up with a concussion.
I think the word you're looking for is verisimilitude.
Yes, that is a good word for it. The only reason I don't like verisimilitude is that is more about replication and less about overall logic. But yes, verisimilitude is a great word for it because it's that feeling of a real world.
Mm-hmm. Because let's be honest, I mean, they're fantasy fictional worlds, you know, dragons exist and all these other things. It's like, you just got to accept that some things aren't going to work quite like they do in our world, or some things are just going to be downright unexplainable.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because the same, we need a realistic world that gives us, you know, you get the argument about realism. It's like, oh, the games don't need realism. Well, yeah, they do. Realism is the reason why we don't have combat wheelchairs, because it's not realistic for somebody to have combat wheelchair in a world where somebody can snap their fingers, say hi to their god that they know on a first name basis, and let them walk again.
It's like we don't need combat wheelchairs because they're just fucking stupid, mostly.
It's
not really about realism. It's about the stupidity of even having that in a fictional fantasy world where, like we just said, the wizard can cast Greater Restoration and heal your paralyzed legs.
But that only exists because of a sense of realism. If there's no realism, then the logic is out the window. It's not like I said, it ain't about
there is no realism or logic with magic, though. That tosses that completely out the window.
Sure there is. It just
not
works.
really.
I feel targeted here.
It works in a realistic fashion. That's what I was saying.
Am I targeting you?
It's not realism in like
just a little bit here.
Robot can't, my giant robot can't even exist because the square cube law means that he's going to sink 15 feet into the ground every time he takes a step. That's not what the realism is. You have a certain level of suspended disbelief and you have the quote unquote fantasy elements. The realism comes in logic still functions. For instance, when I throw the fireball into that room and it blows up, that is logically going to burn things.
Yes.
Just because it's magic fire, unless it's specifically non-burning magic fire, it is still going to burn things when I throw the fireball in there. That is a realistic expectation.
So anyway, with some other good news here. Yes, the Wheel of Time has finally been canceled after 3 seasons.
God, cancel Ring of Power. Cancel Rings of Power. Cancel
Rings of Power too.
I remember, I think I was like, when I was in my younger adult years, I tried to get into the book series and I just couldn't get into it at the time.
Because Robert Jordan is fucking boring.
You talk about Wheel of Time?
Yes.
Yeah, I tried to get to the book. I got like the very first book from a friend, and I think I got like maybe 20, 30 pages in. I was like, this isn't catching my attention.
Nope.
When Jordan died, there were so many people who celebrated, and they didn't celebrate because they hated Jordan. They celebrated because they were huge Wheel of Time fans, and they were like, finally, there will be no more books. There will be no more. I'm free. I won't have to keep buying them forever.
I had a family member who's a massive fan of the franchise. Has been going on and on for years about it. How much he loves the books, how much he was looking forward to the show, and well, to his credit, he actually did enjoy the show. But the thing was, I think he was just happy to have gotten an adaptation. He didn't have the oh dear God,
Jesus. That's going to be the running gag of the scene. We have to share this at least once now every time.
Well, I have to share it at least once more because they dropped the last episode on Sunday. And I want to talk about it while the iron is still hot and it's still fresh on my mind, so I don't have to watch it again and recap what I thought about it. But I'm going to say this. I'm not really a futurist type. I'm a historian, so I kind of look back at the past to tell you kind of what's going to happen in the future. And all the game guys out there who, of course, hated the series a second season because they played the second game and they knew what was going to happen, have got it right once again. And I think the viewership is going to drop off sharply after this season because here is what happened in that episode. So our guy Evan, you know, the cool Korean dude who is the father of the unborn child of Ellie's girlfriend. He shows up, he kind of saves the day, and he kind of reads Ellie the riot act, you know, basically telling her, it's like, you know, I don't support you because you're selfish and because you don't think about anybody else and all this other stuff, right? And he's right. You know, there's a scene where this one of the kids from the they're not cannibals, but they're like, you know, they're kind of like what would you call them? Luddites, basically. I forget what they're called, but just everybody calls them Scars. The Scars, who have shown that they are just as brutal as the wolves. You know, a bunch of wolves capture a kid, you know, beating the crap out of him and everything. And Ellie keeps trying to jump up and go save him. And, you know, our guy Evan keeps pulling her back and saying, no, 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 this is not our fight. There's 6 of them and there's 2 of us. You know? So this episode just continues to showcase how fucking stupid, dumbass Ellie is. And I don't blame Potato Head for her, you know, for the bad acting so much. I mean, yeah, she can't act, but her character is so shit. It's like she didn't have anything to work with to begin with. And she's not a particularly gifted actress. If she were, she could probably bring some kind of nuance to it, or maybe even buck back against the director and say, hey, this really makes my character look dumb. How are you supposed to make my character look sympathetic if she says stuff like this? So she basically tells Evan, well, you don't support them because they're not our community, but they're my community and all this other stuff. And I'm just kind of like, you're fucking dumb. He followed you all the way from his city, or his little outpost, because you and your girlfriend Dina decided to go on a cross-country vengeance tour, ill-prepared, ill-equipped, and he still ended up having to save your ass on multiple occasions. And here you're sitting there getting in his face too, just like you did with Joel, which just shows what an absolutely ungrateful cunt bag you are.
I mean, I think part of the issue is the art of writing decent dialogue died a long time ago, and a lot of it comes from this. All right, I'm going to write some dialogue. I'm going to write this character's dialogue. Man, this is good. And then somebody looks at it and says, you didn't signal all the right groups there. We need some power lines in here so that we can make sure that we play to this and that. And somehow we need to link this back to such and such imaginary real world struggle or cause that we're trying to promote. So, you know, try and say something so we can make it an allegory for that. And it's like, well, but that would be fucking stupid. Why would anybody say that? Well, we're going to put it in there anyway, because we need to make sure that, you know, the community XYZ understands that we're in there. And it's rare.
He says that the wolves versus the Seraphites is supposed to be like Israel versus Palestine. And I'm like, I don't see it. I mean,
well, it's mainly because it's not Israel versus Palestine. It's almost maybe the straw man bullshit Palestine versus Israel thing that they made up for their cause.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like it's an almost version of your delusion that is in no way realistic.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, you know, Evan has already figured out that Dina is pregnant with his child, which, you know, he tells Ellie, he says, you know, it's like, yeah, I get it. You love her, but I love her still too, but maybe not the same way you do. And that's my child. And I'm the father, you know, he asserts himself as the child's father, which he is, you know, no matter how much, you know, Ellie wants to walk around saying, I'm going to be a dad. So anyway, kind of make a long story short, you know, Ellie goes running off to go try to, you know, do her little vengeance quest. She ends up killing 2 more of the people who killed Joel, including a pregnant woman who is begging her to do a C-section. And Ellie's so fucking dumb. She doesn't know what the word transverse means. It's like, it's a C-section, you potato head. You cut the stomach open, you pull the baby out. It's not hard to think. I mean, the woman is desperately trying to save her baby because she's bleeding out on the floor. because of Ellie shooting the dude and one of the shots cutting her aorta, or was it their carotid artery?
No, what they should have done was the baby should have become infected with the virus, and it should have like clawed its way out through the stomach like Alien.
No, that would be even dumber than what happened.
It would still be a better scene.
No, it wouldn't have. There was no way that scene could be good. So anyway, Ellie's sitting there crying, bawling, because, she just killed a pregnant woman. And I'm just kind of like, well, that's what you wanted, right? You wanted revenge. This is what your revenge looks like. Aren't you happy? No, but you look like an idiot because you couldn't take basic instructions from a dying woman to save her child. So you just let the baby die too. You're a dumbass. So yeah, anyway, yeah, Evan and Joel's brother show up and save her and try to get her out of there. And in the process, they get separated out, running back to the theater. They hear a scream. Evan runs in like a complete dork and gets blasted by Abby and killed instantly, which ends his story immediately. And I'm just kind of like, wow, you did it again. You had another cool character that we liked, a male character that we liked, and you killed him too. Thank you so much, Druckmann, you fucking asshole. And of course, Abby is there, and Abby, who is much, much more threatening, all 5'7" of her, without by the way, the super duper massively bodybuilder sculpted arms and chest and everything else. Yeah.
She's so glad I never played those games.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know how they managed to do it. After seeing the game, I would rather play the game than watch the show.
Dude,
the show is worse.
I am a diehard, lifelong Tolkien fan. Like, to the point that my earliest childhood memories involve a rare pewter chess set for the Hobbit that my dad owns. It's actually a really cool chess set. I'll have to upload some pictures or something of it. It was made by a foundry out in California. But anyway, that's not the point. Point is that I'm like, when I was a little kid, I used to like rename places I could ride on my bike after locations in Middle Earth. And as like a 4 and 5 year old, I would talk to the trees in my backyard because as a 5-year-old, I really desperately wanted them to turn into Ents one day. I used to play War in Middle Earth, if anybody knows that game from DOS days back in the late 80s.
I know that game.
Oh, that's a great game. But when I look at this, I'm like, none of this surprises me because I've seen what these idiots have managed to do with Tolkien. These morons have decided that the Valar are a trans allegory. The range of stupidity and modern reinterpretation that these people will take anything to is so far beyond reasonable that it's not even funny. I've gotten to the point where if something I really like has come, like the Fallout series, for instance, coming up, I looked at it and I was like, instead of, man, I'm so excited for this, I can't wait to see some Fallout stories, I approached it like this. If this fits with all the canon, matches everything, works out well, makes a lot of sense in story, and incorporates some characters from the games and stuff that we all want, I'll be happy. I'll be like ecstatic and pleasantly surprised. But all I want is for the themes and the atmosphere to match what I expect, and I will be happy. They can screw canon left and right and everything else, because if I go into it saying, well, they better stick to canon and they better not use a vault number that I already know what they did from comic book X or whatever, I'm just going to end up being so pissed off that I'm never going to like anything ever again because I cannot trust them to not screw anything up.
Yeah. And I will definitely comment on the Fallout series because that is a good point. But just to finish off what I'm saying about Last of Us, this last episode. So the episode basically ends on a cliffhanger with Abby pointing her gun at Ellie, and Ellie, who has been super tough, defiant, and all this other stuff, and incredibly stupid, is sitting there begging for her life. Even after Abby said, I let you live, because so she recognizes her. you know? And immediately I'm just kind of like, Ellie's got so much plot armor, Abby's not going to kill her. In fact, Ellie's plot armor saves her a couple of times in that episode already. And then they suddenly cut to Abby waking up sometime in the past and checking out, this big giant stadium where the wolves live, apparently. So I'm just like, oh, this is the point at which they're going to switch to Abby's perspective for the entire third season. And I'm just kind of like, is anybody really going to be watching this after this? I mean, you killed off Joel. Everybody loved Joel, and he was the heart of the show. And all you've done this season is prove how awesome the show was with Joel and how shitty it is without him. But you also just killed off Evan, the other character everybody liked. And all we're left with is, we're going to be going through a season with Abby, who is, well, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but a far more interesting character already than Ellie. Even though Ellie is supposed to be the protagonist now.
That kind of brings up a relatively interesting question that you could take around the table.
What's that?
Can you think of a single legitimately strong female character that has not been completely screwed up by adaptations?
I was going to say Sarah Connor, but they screwed her up in that last Terminator movie.
Well, she wasn't even an adaptation, though. She was just a continuation of... They just screwed her up as a continuation of an old series.
Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman 94.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Black Widow was good.
I mean, you said good with about as much enthusiasm as Scarlett Johansson acts any of her characters.
Well, I mean, the Black Widow movie was poorly timed, and it wasn't a very good movie.
Well, and Black Widow was never really well adapted either.
Well, no. Well, the issue with Black Widow was it was a movie they should have done 8 years before.
Well,
and also it's also ultimately not the story they should have told, because there's one thing people wanted, it was to see the adventure where Black Widow and Hawkeye had to fight. You could have gotten into her past in some interesting ways there to see her doing spy stuff.
Okay, wait. There is one character that actually managed to translate from literary medium to screen and did it well. Tarna from Heavy Metal.
Yeah, maybe. I could give you that, but that's also way back in the 80s.
True.
What about Tank Girl?
Modern Hollywood.
No, Tank Girl.
The issue is you need to establish a time frame for this, like within the last decade, because otherwise we go back. It needs to be. I would say it needs to be a major production. And it needs to be probably, and I'd say, in the last 20 years or so, like in the new millennium. Because you can't go back to Heavy Metal, because Heavy Metal is a cult classic now, but that was a passion project.
True.
That was not a major motion picture with a metric shit ton of money dumped into it and a team of writers. That was a passion project. Kind of like Wizards. Wizards was a passion project.
Oh yeah,
And
anything by Ralph Bakshi.
But I love Wizards. Yeah, Ralph Bakshi is I love rotoscoping. I know that it's a cheap way to do animation and it's designed to just save money. I love rotoscoping.
I do too.
The whole thing about it is you look in the past 20, 25 years, they can't, especially with female characters, they just cannot do it right. They have to screw it up. They were handed Eowyn, Peter Jackson, who did a very, very good adaptation. Probably the only, the 3 Lord of the Rings movies are probably the only adaptation of anything Tolkien did that is in any way close to up to par. Yeah. And they took Eowyn, who was a gift to the good old modern girl power crowd, and just completely screwed her character. And they screwed her character with a handful of lines.
I thought Eowyn was okay. I mean, Arwen was a great character too.
Well, first off, Arwen was in no way Arwen, and they kind of screwed her up trying to turn her into an action hero when she shouldn't have been. But that's a side point. Eowyn is completely screwed up, and I'll tell you why. Like, you can sum up how Eowyn was screwed up in one single change. And it's not even the line, it's when and how the line was delivered. When Eowyn slays the Witch King, in the book, he sits down, he's about to have the winged beast feast on Theoden. Theoden's under his horse, he's dead basically. The Witch King is getting, she kills the winged beast, the Witch King gets down, and he, no man can kill me. She pulls her helmet off and says, I am no man, and you will not defile this corpse. You're not going to do it. She does that at the beginning. He's not beaten. He's not on his knees. He's not about to die. It is right there up front. She steps up. She pulls the helmet off. She drops it on the ground, and she's like, I'm throwing the gauntlet down. We're doing this, and fuck you. You're not going to beat me.
Yeah, that was like the cartoon.
Powerful moment. In the movie, they move it all the way to the end where she's this scared girl who's struggling and fighting, and she gets her moment, and then she's like, ha ha, audience pop moment. I'm no man. I'm going to stab you in the head after being a lovesick puppy for the entire the entire entirety of the second half of Two Towers and Return of the King. They screwed her worse than they screwed up Faramir.
Maybe, but I liked it.
But the point is, they took a strong female character, somebody who was like, she didn't doubt herself. She was always like, look, I'm going to fight because I need to. She was always a strong and forceful character. She was defiant. She wasn't begging Theoden to go along. She was like, I'm going to fight because that's where I need to be. She was strong from the beginning in the books.
Well, but at the same time, though, it is adaptation. It's one of those things where some things will have to necessarily be changed for the sake of the adaptation and for the pace of the story you're trying to tell. They've stayed fundamentally true to it, but there are some things that had to be, changed for the sake of keeping keeping the pace going, for keeping some entertaining little, additional character arcs that for these characters that would otherwise be just kind of background characters without as much emotional development.
Very good you said that, because that's exactly true. I'm one of the few hardcore Tolkien heads who will tell you that I 100% agree with Tom Bombadil being pulled out of that movie, because he works, and Cricket Hollow being pulled out of those movies. Those work in a literary sense for building the apathy of hobbits, for how relaxed they are about what's going on in the world, how they have something that's really, really serious, but they can't take it seriously because of who they are. Eowyn is not this. She was not a minor character. She was not background. They completely changed her character for absolutely no reason other than to try and make her some kind of triumphant coming of power story, instead of just making her a strong warrior woman from the very beginning. And they kind of did the same thing with Faramir. They turned Faramir into a whiny little bitch instead of what he was. And those are two changes that I can't really defend. I can even defend elves at Helm's Deep, but I can't defend those two.
Well, thankfully, that's a mistake they never made again, and we've never seen them completely ruin a character in Lord of the Rings like that again. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like Galadriel was destroyed utterly.
Let's make that clear. The Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movie standalone is probably in my opinion, they very well may be the greatest movies ever made. Period. They're fantastic. And they're the closest to a faithful and great adaptation ever. Hobbit, I understand why they made it crap. They made it crap for certain commercial reasons and for production reasons and Hollywood reasons, marketing reasons.
But was it really crap? Was it really crap? Or
I mean, adaptation. They're decent movies as an action flick. They're crap as an adaptation.
Yes, they don't follow the book very closely.
Which I have this conspiracy theory that Rings of Power and War of the Rohirrim and this stuff is a great conspiracy where they're trying. Jeff Bezos is trying to make his next. He wants to be the first trillionaire, and he wants to do it by solving the world's energy crisis. Before he greenlit Rings of Power, he ran diodes down to Christopher and J.R.R. Tolkien's graves and hooked them up to a turbine because he knew it would spin so fast in their graves that it would be an infinite source of energy better than cold fusion.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's not going to happen, I don't think. They seem hell bent on making 5 seasons of Rings of Power, but I really got to wonder if they're seriously going to consider keep wasting money on it after 2nd season. I mean, yes, there's going to be a 3rd season, but I'm pretty sure that one's going to tank too, unless they just drastically revamp the way they do everything and pull back on a lot of things, because
there's no saving Guy Ladriel.
No, there isn't. She's too far gone as a character. Everybody hates her. It's like Ellie. Everybody hates her too. So it's kind of like,
I mean, you want to talk about an awful adaptation Galadriel in the First Age was smart enough to stay out of her uncle's BS. Okay. She was not some idiot, impulsive retard like she was in Rings of Power.
Right. I mean, there isn't any good things I could say about Rings of Power. There just isn't. I mean, other than there's some good dialogue here and there, but it's so few and far between that it's not worth mentioning. It's kind of like I tell people, it's like, even some of these crappy, B movies that I enjoy, and I mean like some of the horrible ones, like even the Roger Corman films and stuff. Even those things, as bad as they are, they're bad, and you could kind of enjoy them on some level. And every once in a while in one of those, you'll get like a really great performance that'll peek out of it.
Yeah.
Which is why the show is so disappointing. It's like, yeah, you'll get a nice performance every once in a while here and there, but for the most part, it's like the show is terrible and it's trying to be serious. And it's just kind of like, but let's jump over to the Fallout show. Because, okay, so when that first came out, I remember thinking to myself, this is probably going to suck. But I'm going to watch it. Because a lot of other people weren't interested in it either. They were all like, oh no, it's Amazon. They've already ruined Rings of Power. They've already ruined Wheel of Time. They're going to ruin Fallout. And I thought to myself, yeah, they're probably going to ruin this too, but I want to watch it. And I was so pleasantly surprised. I mean, yes, there was a lot of things wrong with it. There was a lot of plot armor. There was a lot of details here and there that they got wrong. And there was just a lot of bad writing here and there. And the biggest crime that entire series perpetuated was the fact that they came out and told you that Vault Tech started the war.
Yeah, that's a bad one. Though I will give it this. It has Walton Goggins in it.
He's one of the things that saves it.
Walton Goggins to me is like Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman made any movie he was in acceptable.
Mm-hmm. Same with
the movie that he's in.
Yeah, same thing with Malcolm McDowell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these are actors who have so much star power and so much ability with their characters that they can change the entire landscape of a film. Like Ironcaster. If I say, okay, I've got this really piece of crap vampire movie that I only made for $100, but I got Walt Goggins to star in it for 10 minutes.
Tell me more.
Like Ironcaster. Yeah, see? Ironcaster's like, I might want to see that.
Because let's face it, the Ghoul is not a great character.
But he's fun.
But Walton Goggins kind of makes him that way.
Yes. Yes, he is.
Yeah, but I'm okay with Fallout. And I'm okay with Fallout for a while. So let's face it. For there to be a continuity and a canon that doesn't have a bunch of holes and logical fallacies and screw ups and stuff in it for Fallout, you kind of have to ignore a whole bunch of games. I'm not talking about like. Luckily, none of them are like the inline games, though. To be honest, Fallout 4 has some problems as far as tying into everything. The Brotherhood of Steel should not even be there.
Yeah.
But, you know, the main games, Fallout 1, 2, 3, 4, they kind of work.
You take that back.
But there's
Witch Queen.
So much. Huh? What we got here?
Witch Queen says, I like Ellie. You take that back.
Yeah,
You've been playing the video games.
I thought when I saw that, I was like, man, he's going to get banned. But you look at that, and it's like, if you take everything, Brotherhood of Steel, the whole 9 yards, and there's a plenty of screw ups and plenty of inconsistencies in the Fallout lore from the games too. Now it doesn't excuse some of the crappy writing, because there is some shitty writing in the Fallout series that was largely done because they were trying to cram in too much stuff.
Yeah. And that's what it felt like. That's kind of the complaint I had this morning. As I said, you know, a lot of these shows, they have really wonderful starts, and then it's like as they get towards the end, they try so hard to wrap it all up in a short amount of time, and the writing just really suffers for it. Now, in Fallout's case, granted, I think the writer's strike was going on at that point.
Yeah.
And they really were trying to wrap it up quickly so that they could get it shot and in the can and out on the screens. So that may have been part of the problem. But
don't go forgetting COVID either.
Yeah, there was that too. So I'm hoping that the next season that drops will be a more finished, polished product. I mean, you know, everybody's excited because New Vegas is going to be in it. And of course, everybody's going to want to see if Mr. House survived or whatever, because, and this is probably the thing I don't like, is the fact that, you know, Howard came out of Bethesda Studios and said, well, the Fallout show is canon. And I'm just like, are you dumb? Did you just have diarrhea of the mouth and slip, or did you have an aneurysm while you were saying that? Because the one of the things that enabled me to watch the Fallout series and not get upset about it was the fact that it's not canonical anyway. You know, this is just somebody's take on the Fallout series. This is not actually how things are going to go in the Fallout game. And he's like, oh no, it's canon. And I'm just like, no.
What's the gap between New Vegas and the series?
What do you mean the gap?
Like the time gap. I'm drawing a blank on what year each happens in.
Oh, you want to have to get me to get my timeline out and everything, because
though I will say this, I don't know what they're going to do about Robert House.
Yeah,
Rene Auberjonois is dead.
Yeah.
So you're either going to have to get one hell of an impersonator, or it's going to be that abominable nonsense that of trying to like AI his voice in there.
Well, they got the actor to play the living Robert House, so I'm assuming that if House is still alive at that point, he'll be playing that. But okay, so like the nuclear war in Fallout starts in 2077. I know, that's funny.
2281, apparently.
New Vegas, I just looked it up, is set in the year 2281.
Yeah, Esoteric Order of Nerdity told us that.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, he just did, yeah.
If he recalls, 2297. So House could be dead because of the courier. It could actually be canon for like New Vegas to be completely nuked out.
Well, I mean, it's possible, but see, that's the thing. Depending on which ending you picked for, New Vegas is kind of how the New Vegas ends up. I mean, did you give power over to House? Did you?
Well, we just made the canon ending. The courier is a complete jackass. Went down the Lonesome Road and started nuking everything.
Yeah, there's that.
And then didn't turn power over to anybody. Just did the whole. Basically turned it over to Yes Man because he.
Or he could have turned it over to Caesar's Legion.
Yeah.
They should have done Like, they just should have had the Courier be like the main character of the Fallout TV show. Been like, show the New Vegas storyline and then show like all the other stuff that happens afterwards, and they can expand it from there if they wanted to.
I'm glad they did not do that. I'm very glad they did not do that, because the way the New Vegas storyline is structured is so open-ended. It's kind of like, well, which moments do you want to choose to put in, and which ones do you not want to choose to put in?
That is why I would be so down for that. Just
and not only that, though,
series that is a New Vegas playthrough, and then give me a second season that is a different New Vegas playthrough.
But
give me season after season.
The thing you're forgetting about, though, is you have Hollywood writers who want to be able to go and tell their own story. I mean, you have people who are probably chopping at the bit to be able to play in this sandbox to tell the stories they want to tell.
Well, we all know the correct ending to New Vegas is Mr. House taking over and defeating both sides.
No, it didn't. Maybe in your playthrough.
You got to stop and figure that, assuming the writers were fans of this franchise themselves, I'm sure there are probably just a multitude of little tiny lore tidbits they might have chosen to obsess over. But also on top of that, you got to realize Bethesda might have some hard limits to say you cannot do this or that. You have to do something different. So it's all ultimately a matter of, kind of questioning, like, what were the parameters for what they were allowed to do?
Yeah.
And frankly, frankly, being in that position, I wouldn't want to just follow someone else's script. I would want to, kind of go do my own thing.
Well, I want to tell my own story. Well, that's funny, because we're paying you to play in this sandbox.
Yeah, we want you to tell this story, not that story.
You know what you could do? You could write your own script and you could shop it to a bunch of studios between your shifts at Starbucks. Or you could write what we're paying you to write for our Fallout series.
Well, this is my belief. Because they already destroyed Shady Sands in the series, and now that's canonical, and that pissed everybody off. I also suspect that the new California Republic, even if it was given New Vegas, wouldn't have been able to hold it for whatever reason.
Probably not.
So my feeling is, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the Robert House ending where, the Courier turns it over to House. House is running it, and he's still in charge of New Vegas when season 2 hits.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, if you dropped me into New Vegas and said, what would I do? I would probably have ended up siding with Robert House. Like that, me personally in the New Vegas desert and whatnot, I would have probably been siding with House out of like raw practicality. If I don't want to be in House's New Vegas, I'll go live somewhere else. But yeah, I can be his general running around getting shit done.
Or you get the platinum chip, kill Robert House, and leave it to the yes men bots.
Yeah, well, I mean, House is too much of an autocrat.
Yeah, House is an autocrat, but House is an autocrat who doesn't really care about what other people do. Like, basically on the personal level, he's almost libertarian on the personal level, because he doesn't really give a shit what you do. He just wants to make sure that stuff runs in a particular way and progresses in a particular way. So I think on the individual level, he wouldn't be that bad as far as like day-to-day life for most people. If anything, I think that having to put up with House's rules would probably result in an overall better quality of life for the entirety of New Vegas, as opposed to the Legion, where most of them would end up being slaves. And that society would simply not progress very well, because that's kind of the history of slavery anyway, is that there's a cap on how far they can progress. The new California Republic, you're a far-reaching territory of a corrupt government that's on the coast. And Yes Man is the failure of the ANCAP philosophy. ANCAPs sound great when you're a teenager, and then when you grow up and you realize that people are people, and that the whole, well, we're all just going to follow the non-aggression principle doesn't work when people stop doing it. Or you get surrounded by people who want something different and you have no way to stop it. That's basically, you have pure anarchy that just falls apart on itself with Yes Man.
Or maybe my shit just fell apart and I want some stuff that works.
What they should do is, I don't know, did they make hints to the Enclave at all in the Fallout TV show? Did they ever hint at that still being around?
Not really, not yet.
Because that'd be kind of cool if they kind of had them just suddenly reappear, and then there was like a rebuilt Frank Horrigan that just kind of appears to chase her around or something.
I suspect there will be some kind of an enclave. I mean, they've got so many good villains and so many good factions and so many good things that they can cherry pick from to put in this series, as well as adding their own stuff. I mean, the whole thing with ghouls needing, medicine and all this stuff is just kind of like, I don't know why that was added as part of the canon. But okay, whatever.
You got to remember, you have Hollywood writers who are obsessed with like nuclear bad. Ergo, they're gonna have to like make sure they put up a lot of elements of the mutants are all sick from the radiation, so we can't like show this in a positive light.
Well, and yet on the other hand, Fallout 76 just allowed you to start being able to play a ghoul in the game, and it's the most popular add-on that the game has ever made.
Yes, but it's not a Hollywood writer.
True.
And it's not a game that anyone plays anyway.
Well, some of us do. But.
Look, I actually kind of liked 76 to a certain extent. I liked the idea of it. But to me, 76, it can't deliver on what makes Fallout games fun and entertaining and interesting.
Yeah, it can't. It's
the social commentary that makes Fallout games interesting. It's that parody that makes them interesting. It's the fact that they make fun of a bunch of extremes and whatnot. And it just doesn't work in 76 where it's like, okay, we're guys with nuclear, finding nuclear technology running around in the woods. Whoop-de-damn-do.
Well, and the other part of it too is the fact that the way they chose to start it versus where they are now was a big mistake. It's kind of like if you had all the options now that, from the beginning, that game would have been a way bigger hit. But they chose to release it in kind of a half-finished, sort of broken, doesn't work right state. And, without anybody to interact with and all these other things. And it just kind of became a bit of a slog. But I mean, for me, Fallout 76 has a meta that's very firmly ingrained in the game. And it is take drugs and use melee weapons, because if you are any kind of a firearms person, you're going to be stuck for ammo all the time. Doesn't matter how much you can craft at the tables, doesn't matter how many materials you've got, you're always going to be stuck trying to build more ammo, make more ammo, steal more ammo, loot more ammo, whatever you can, because you're always running out. Like my first playthrough, my first character was a shotgun specialist, and it was kind of like, at first getting shotgun shells wasn't too bad, but then as the opponents got stronger and stronger, it's like it's taking more shotgun shells to kill these things, and I'm running out faster. So it became a case of like diminishing returns real fast. It's kind of like only when I went to a melee build and taking lots of drugs to augment my damage output and everything else did I start having some success.
Well,
because you're not having to worry about reloading your mole claws.
They should just enhance the power of the firearms to
I agree.
A realistic level, and that would probably help fix that without getting rid of the whole scarcity situation that would be very realistic. I think you should be thinking about, man, do I need to spend my ammo on this or not? But it should be, if I spend my ammo on this, that's it. It's over.
A wild dash has appeared.
Hey, hang on. I just got to fix my audio. There, it's fixed. How's it going, guys?
Oh, hey, it's going good, Dash. We're just discussing Fallout, the series, the show.
Yeah. What's the consensus?
There kind of isn't one. What did you think of the show?
I was personally like, when I heard they dropped all the episodes, I thought maybe it wasn't going to be so good. I was really psyched because of Walter Goggins. Then, like, I saw the show, I heard the lore complaints, and ultimately, my opinion is that it was a good show, even with like all the changes. It still was like, but maybe that's because I was so like burnt out by how awful Halo was.
Oh yeah, that show.
Or they
was
didn't
so
even
bad.
try.
Ironcaster loved Halo, man. He got on telling us all the time how much he enjoyed, especially the Chinese girl with the shitty haircut throwing a tantrum. That was his favorite part of the whole series.
The ant killer. We
have a video for that.
We do?
Oh yeah, give me 1 second. I will find this.
Okay.
The Fallout show and the game inspired me. Now that I got my Civil War module that I released now done and out, I'm working on my own rules light post-apocalypse RPG. That's going to be a 3D6 system.
Hunter.
Excellent.
What?
Hunter. Buy Ashes Without Number.
Well, I want to play that too, but it's like it's also this idea. It's just been an idea that's been burning in my head ever before. Like Ashes Without Number came around because I tried to explore a few other post-apoc TTRPGs. I just did not like them.
You didn't like Basic Expert stuff? Because his is pretty Fallout faithful.
I own it. It's not. It's a decent game, but it's Basic Expert.
What's wrong with Basic Expert?
I'm not gonna go into that on here.
You're not a fan?
Good game designer, kind of. It's like, but when it comes to his attitude and how he talks to other people, that's a bit of a turn off for me. That's putting it nicely.
Yeah, he won't buy Basic Expert stuff for the exact same reason I won't.
Oh. One of these days, I'm going to have to get John on here with you two guys. I'm going to have to warn him ahead of time, though. Hey,
Yeah, so
I just will keep my distance from him because it's like because I had a whole thing with him because Basic Expert did some of the artwork for Horde Wars, and then there was a falling out with that for a while, and then me and Todd made up, and then I had to me and TBE talked about these, and we just basically said we're just you do your thing, I'll do mine, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I think the Fallout show is good. We'll see if it remains good with season 2. I think Lucy and the Ghoul are like the best characters, and I didn't really like Tatus because he was kind of an asshole and a cowardly one at that. But I don't know. Later on, it's interesting where his character is going. So we'll see how that goes.
He's kind of weird because, like, as a character, he just kind of keeps failing upward.
Yeah, I don't like the way the Brotherhood of Steel is run at all in the Fallout series.
Yeah, you can tell the writers don't like the Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah, they really made that Knight out to be the biggest asshole they possibly could.
And for no reason at all.
Yeah, for no reason.
They could save the entire series with one great thing, though. What they do is you show up to New Vegas, and instead of it actually being Robert House, there's a girl who's dressed turn of the century style who is handing over this gentleman who is stepping up, and he walks up, and the first words out of his mouth are, "A man chooses, a slave obeys."
Oh, crossover.
Oh.
And they just turned the whole thing into another BioShock continuity.
Man.
They're gonna try to make a series or a show or a movie out of that, right?
I heard there was a movie coming, but I haven't heard anything.
I heard it was a show in the work, possibly. It was what I last
maybe
heard.
it's getting reworked into a show. It's probably getting reworked.
Because
I found my clip, by the way.
Oh, you got your clip? Okay, you ready?
Yes.
This is Ironcaster's favorite clip. God, look at that haircut. Look at that haircut.
Why are we beating
I think Spartan, one of the Spartan she was with, handcuffed her to that motorcycle.
I know what's wrong with it. Ain't got no gas in it.
It was the guy we dubbed not Dave Chappelle. And this, of course, is
better
like
ways.
having the most simple of, calm reasons for why she's rather upset about this.
But no, yeah, I don't
Supposed to
count
be an
this.
idiot?
This is hilarious.
Is she supposed to be an idiot?
She was the girl and everything.
Yeah, she was
Yeah,
basically
she was
the hero of the
chosen
story.
one. Well, there were two chosen one characters.
1,000 easier ways using pieces that could be easily removed from the bike to get out of the handcuffs.
Yeah, so we have one donut steal Karen, who's the key to everything, and then you have the white Karen, who's the key to everything and gets to sleep with Master Chief in front of Cortana.
Mm.
And then we have Master Chief who keeps taking his helmet off.
Eddie took his butt chip out.
And having sex with the enemy in front of Cortana.
Oh yeah, by the way, that was a part that was something they just had to include, that like all the Spartans have a butt chip that suppresses their emotions.
Is this kind of like
Hold on?
when
Did I just
Dredd
hear that
took
right?
his helmet off for the kids?
A butt chip.
Yep.
Every
I think it was in the neck. It was in the neck, but
no, it was not in their neck. It was in like the bottom of their spine. It may as well have been up their ass.
What the fuck?
All because
Halo was never my thing. I'm not an Xbox dude, so I never gave.
None of this matches the books or the games at all.
Never gave a first shit about Halo. But is this kind of like when? Is this kind of like when Judge Dredd took his helmet off?
Okay, guys, everyone's trying to talk over each other. Let Ironcaster speak, and then you go. Then you can talk, Daniel.
Yeah.
Okay. So the main reason why they'd done this, of course, is because they wanted to be able to get the Master Chief actor basically in his, bare ass. So we get like a bunch of male nudity on scene, because this was like 2018, and we had to push more male nudity to balance the grand scheme of female objectification.
Yeah, the show was in the works for a long, long time, and it's sad this is what we ended up with.
And to think at one point, Peter Jackson was supposed to have directed it, a Halo movie.
There's a reason. Like, not even straight women want to see a bunch of naked dudes. Okay? Let's just be open and honest about that. There's a reason why male nudity is generally relegated to, like, comedy.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't.
We're not very good looking.
Yeah, we are not aesthetic.
I can't speak for women, so all I'm gonna say is like I guess you're right, but
I mean,
like the average guy is not like good looking.
Well, the simple truth is everybody loves boobs.
True.
Exactly. Bingo.
You see
can't compete.
You won't see the rest of them.
Mm-hmm. And T-shirt, how did we sell half the movies in the 70s? How did Hammer sell half their films?
Boobs.
Bingo.
Cleavage. I mean, well, that actually happened even before then. I remember Howard Hughes got into a lot of trouble because the film ratings board was upset with him for showing too much cleavage on one of his female actors, and they wanted to censor the film or give it a worse rating because of all the cleavage.
The entire Friday the 13th series was built on swimsuits.
And killing, yeah.
So they didn't want a lot of cleavage, but Harvey Weinstein was completely okay.
Well, he was writing the checks.
I didn't say that.
I'm making a comparison about Hollywood. I'm not talking about you in general.
Also,
Hollywood's full of hypocrites.
That's not even just that.
Also, you're talking about a good 10, 15 years after all.
Oh, I thought he was like an old dude and had been doing it for like a long time, was what I had heard.
He's been sitting in prison for a while.
Dude, but that goes all the way back into the 1910s. Hollywood has always been that way.
Yeah, you ever play LA Noire? It has always been very sleazy.
I mean,
Judy Garland was fucked up beyond all belief. Because, I mean, she had like 9 studio mandated forced abortions.
Jesus.
Dorothy?
Most of which had nothing to do with anybody she was romantically involved with.
Ugh.
Oh shit.
She was forced to sing. Have you ever wondered why, when you watch Wizard of Oz, why her rendition of Over the Rainbow is so incredibly powerful? It's because right before they put her on set to sing it, she got the phone call that her father had passed away, and they informed her that she would not be allowed to leave the set until she sang the song.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, and she is not even by any stretch the worst.
That almost sounds like what Stanley Kubrick did to Shelley Duvall when they were filming the staircase scene in The Shining, where oh yeah, like, you know, when Jack Nicholson is saying, give me the bat, and then Shelley Duvall, like, basically Kubrick was practically yelling at her during that scene to get her more hysterical. And so, like, that wasn't acting, what she was doing on the staircase. She was literally, like, just under a lot of stress because Kubrick was just, like, tormenting her.
I mean, at least that was Kubrick trying to get.
This goes way back. I mean, if you look at the history of Hollywood, like, let's start.
Casting couch.
Well, that, and I was going to point to the Coogan Act, where the Uncle Fester actor, Jackie Coogan, basically got all his money stolen by his parents.
There's another example of that sort of thing, because William Friedkin on the set of Exorcist, he had Reagan's mom, whose name I can't remember right now, hooked up to some kind of harness, and it was supposed to pull her, you know, like as if she was being thrown off of Reagan, who was possessed at the time, right? And she warned, you know, William Friedkin. She said, "Okay, look, don't pull it really hard. I can sell the stunt, you know." So William Friedkin said, "Yeah, of course, no, we're not going to do that." And then, of course, he went over to the stunt guy and he said, "Jerk the shit out of that thing." And he did, and he jerked the rope and yanked her back so hard that she suffered a spinal injury from it.
Oof.
Yeah, they don't give a shit, and it's like one that you could look at is person you could follow on X. Actually, it's kind of funny. My wife went to high school with her, but Adrienne Curry, if you don't follow her, is definitely worth a follow. She was the winner of America's the first winner of America's Top Model, and she's very outspoken about just how awful they are. And she'll say, she's like, all the stuff that's coming out in the P. Diddy trial, she's like, you guys don't know the half of it. There are people above Diddy in the hierarchy who are 100 times worse because they have nothing to do with their life other than find new ways to entertain themselves, which, if all you're doing is entertaining yourself, it just gets boring after a while and you need something even worse. And they all have virtually an infinite and inexhaustible amount of resources. And she's like, that place is a cesspit. And I remember one time somebody was like, "Hey, you know, you ought to write a tell-all book or something." She's like, "No, because I like being alive."
Yeah.
She's like, "No, I will not do that." But, you know, she was married to Barry Williams, and they had their reality show, My Fair Brady. And she was like, the only thing fake about My Fair Brady was all the parts where we act like a happy couple that got along. That was like the way, you have no idea how toxic that relationship was to each other. She's like, getting out of there saved her life, is what she'll sit there and say. But,
a book I read not actually quite some time ago, because it came out quite some time ago, kind of said it all to me, and that was Bruce Campbell's If Chins Could Kill, which he talks about, you know, his experiences in the movie making industry. And one of the things that he says is, because of the way that Hollywood handles the stars and the stuff that they put them through and everything, he says, if there's a star that you really enjoy but you haven't seen in the movies for quite some time, he says that's probably because they don't want to do any more acting, because they don't want to put up with the BS involved with it.
Or it's because they told the wrong person no for the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You know, there was came out a couple years ago. So it kind of shed a good light on the Hollywood excess. It was called Babylon. Basically, supposed to be set during the silent era, but you got to see just how wild it was. And this was like pre-prohibition Hollywood. This is full on, cocaine and the Coca-Cola, orgies and cocaine parties.
Jeez, I believe it. Who would have been good on the show tonight? It would have been Pops. He would have probably enjoyed this. But anyway, guys, we're at over an hour 30 at this point. Shall we go ahead and call it a night?
No objections here.
All right, guys. Well, thank y'all for hanging out with us again. And if you've made it on our second show, I appreciate y'all very much. We will see you on Saturday. I don't know who we're going to have as a guest on at that point, if we will or not. But, I'm certain something will happen between now and then to get us talking about the state of Hollywood and pop culture and comic books and gaming and everything else. And if not, we'll make something up just to make it fun.
There you go.
Well,
maybe we can all discuss.
Huh?
Maybe we can all try and. Oh, go ahead.
Not all at once, guys.
I was like, in that case, let's try to reach out to the common nerd to try to see if we can't make that happen. Because
I did.
Okay, because his last Twitter account got shut down.
Yes,
he's got a new
I know.
one now.
Okay. I didn't know that he's got a new one. Go ahead and shoot that to me because I emailed him, but he never emailed me back. So.
Yeah. All I was going to say is that a topic that might be there that everybody could think about is try and figure out somebody who is a character from history, from past popular culture, who never takes their helmet off, that Hollywood is going to next take their helmet off on camera. We're going to have Boba Fett take his helmet off. Master Chief. We've already had Judge Dredd. Who else never takes their helmet off that's going to take their helmet off?
No, even the Death Dealer took his helmet off. So,
Charlie from Charlie's Angels. They already ruined that franchise.
Yeah, many times.
Running out of helmets to take off.
Yeah.
Now the only helmets left are them. They're all helmets.
No, now they're going to make someone show off their helmet.
Yeah, there's that. All right, guys. We'll talk to you later. Thank y'all very much. We'll see you Saturday.
Here's Ultra.
Later.